Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, well, it might not be too clear, saying who's counting. The reason I decided to make this video came from me reading a recent article in the Bangkok Post. It's bangkokpost.com. Article is titled Cases Drop, but it's technical, CCSA. Quoting directly, the CCSA has begun only counting fatalities directly caused by the virus. Previously, it considered every patient who, quote, who died with the virus, unquote, as a COVID-19 fatality, including patients with pre-existing conditions. As a result, sharp falls in the kingdom's fatality rate are expected. Well, yeah, I would think they would be. And my question is, this is all presented as, well, it's just a technicality. Well, no, not really. I mean, it isn't a technicality. And why was it decided to count this way in the first place? You know, it's interesting. I was talking to a friend here recently. We were talking about a film called The Death of Stalin, which is really quite a good film. If anybody is, it's actually a weird, dark comedy. It's really one of the few films out there that I honestly can say it's very difficult to pigeonhole it into any one genre. It's definitely historical. It's largely, at least on the broad strokes, historically accurate. It is comedic. It's rather funny. But long story short, it's just one of those movies that I found kind of sublimely interesting to watch because it just doesn't fit into any one category, and it takes a very unique perspective on a very, I'm terrifying for the people that went through it, a portion of history. But the reason I was thinking of The Death of Stalin when I was reading this article is I believe Stalin was once quoted as saying, I don't care how many people vote one way or the other. I just want to know who's counting the votes. You know, he was talking about, essentially kind of a primer on power when he was talking to somebody. And he had a point in a certain sense. It's, if someone's in charge of how votes are tabulated and gets to decide what a vote is, for example, that can be extremely powerful. In this case, we've been talking about deaths and, where someone arbitrarily just decided this is how we're going to count deaths and then arbitrarily decides they're not going to do that anymore. It kind of creates a very weird situation where, in a very real sense, they can almost seemingly manipulate what seems to be reality, in a very, I hesitate to be redundant, but in a very real sense. So, I don't know what's really exactly going on here, but I find it very curious that just out of the blue, this decision has been reached at the beginning of this, and we reported, we did videos on this going back in 2020. I thought that was how they were counting from the beginning. So at some point, that apparently changed, and now it has changed back. Interesting. Hopefully, this will just add further momentum behind the push toward getting back to everything being normal here in Thailand and moving forward, especially economically. But it is kind of a curious thing to note when it comes to sort of the chronology of this whole thing.